Hi, friends. Hey, I wanted to share with you the one thing that has helped me in the area of anxiety and peace, moving from one to the other. And I'm not saying I'm there yet, obviously, but I have seen this help me because, first of all, I saw it help my wife. And she was doing this one thing, and I eventually caught on and began doing it as well, and it's helped a tremendous amount. What I'm talking about is practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude doesn't just mean having an attitude of gratitude or some vague phrase like that, but it means actually practicing it. Like a doctor practices medicine by actually doing it. So we practice gratitude by having a way, a process by which we give our thanks to God. We're told in the book of James that all good things we have are a gift from God. And we see again and again in the scripture how gratitude changes us, how gratitude changes our relationship with God. And I think the person who really has helped develop and explore this idea more than anyone else is Anne Voskamp. She's a Canadian author and she wrote a book called A Thousand Gifts. And my wife got a devotional, the 1000 Gifts devotional, and it really changed her, really helped her a lot. And so I followed her lead. And I also have been going through that book, but also having for several years now tried to practice gratitude on a daily basis. What does that look like? How do you actually do that? Well, one thing you can do is if you're with a spouse or a family unit, you can practice gratitude by simply at a set time, maybe at the evening meal or before bed, asking people to go around and say what they're thankful for. Maybe things that normally they would take for granted, but now when they think about them and remember all good things are a gift from God, to say thanks. Another way is to have a jar, a large vase, where you put in little slips of paper after you've written on them things that you're grateful for, and you can see that grow each day. It's a beautiful visual there. Probably, though, the way that most people have found it helps, and the way that Amy and I have really um, found this practice of gratitude to work best, is by keeping a gratitude journal. This is the journal I'm using right now. I try to fill mine out in the morning. Amy fills hers out in the evening. And the goal is simply to sit down and list at least 10 things each day that you accept as gifts from God and you want to say thank you to Him. This changes us. It changes our relationship with God because we're remembering that He is a good Father, that He is a good shepherd, that He is watching out for us. And so I write down things. It can be things I've written about before. My wife is on here most every day, very often coffee. I've got my favorite mug. Shout out to my sister Dawn who gave this to me as a gift. And I even wrote that gift down today. Well, let me tell you something else I wrote down today. I wrote down being able to buy fresh meat at the grocery store. Not something usually on my list, right? Because normally it's something I just take for granted so much. But in these days of scarcity and some of the items at the grocery store, I haven't been able to buy ground beef or fresh chicken or frozen chicken for that matter the last few times I've been in there. Now, I can get by without that. I can live on popcorn and peanut butter. I've done it before, but I don't want to. And I was on the way to the office this morning. Mine was right there on the way, and what do you know, they had it. So I'm writing that down, and it reminds me that there are many places in this world where you can't just walk into the grocery store whenever you want and buy whatever you want. And there are most of the times in history where you couldn't do anything like that. I'm living in a time of affluence and abundance, but unless I stop and thank God for it, I can forget that. This kind of gratitude is a ballast. It's something like a ballast in a ship that keeps it from toppling over when the waves and the storms get pretty rough. And we've had some of that. We've had storms, but we've also had a lot of uncertainty. And I have found, my wife has found, that this is what helps. Let me show you one other thing it does when I do this. It reminds me to not take for granted the things that are just part of my everyday life. Bill Gates, some years ago, when he was the wealthiest man in the world, I think he was worth 35 or 40 billion at the time of this interview. But he was asked this question. He was asked, Bill, if you were blind, would you trade all your 35, 40 billion dollars, all your wealth, to regain your sight? And he thought about it for a second, and then Bill Gates said, yes, I would make that trade. I would make that purchase. And here I have beautiful eyesight. I have a gift that someone who has $30 billion would say is worth that much. I can be thankful for that. And when I do, when I'm practicing this, it reminds me of that. It helps me. It helps me to draw closer to God. It helps me to trust in God. It helps me to have peace in a pandemic. And I hope it can help you as well. Thanks.